Slice of that interview.
As far as private equity is concerned in India, it's not very different from previous years. Obviously, there is a significant amount of optimism on the macro, despite what's happened with the demonetization. I think the last 2 or 3 years with this current government, you've seen a series of reforms around the financial sector, around the GST bill as and when it gets passed. So there's a feeling of anticipation, and not only us, but our investors, who we call limited partners, who invest in us, are overall a lot more positive in India and see it as probably relative to other parts, a bit of a shining star. We can talk a bit about what's happened with demonetization, etc., but I think at an overall level, we're probably as positive as the last year, but probably a lot more positive than we were between the 2009 to 2014 period, where people were generally down and under the weather.
What sectors are you betting on? What looks exciting?
It's all about derivative demand. I mean, essentially what we focus on is, can we get proxies to consumer play without paying the multiples that the current consumer companies demand. So today, if you look at each of the companies, they're trading in 20s, 30s, and 40s PEs or EV/EBITDAs. We try to go into companies like in packaging. It's a great proxy to consumer demand. For every soap that Unilever or P&G sells, or every shampoo, they also need to sell a box which is wrapped around. So we say, let's buy a company which makes the boxes, which trades, and we buy those normally in single-digit EV/EBITDAs, help them substantially to grow earnings, to grow EBITDA, and then jointly think of selling the company at the right time.
So what about investor appetite at this point in time as you talk to investors to raise funds? How comfortable do they feel about India? How confident do they feel about India today and the growth story?
Listen, there are two levels. I think at the macro level, there's always been a plethora of capital globally, right? If you look at the global sovereign wealth funds, the ones I represented in my previous life, the pension funds out of not only North America now, but all over, some degree of surpluses in the Middle East, in Asia, in Japan. And as you've seen, even the Japanese money pivoting slightly away from China, India stands to benefit. So there's always been a plethora of capital. The issue has been that there's been a lack of returns. And there's been a lack of being able to make money in India. People have gotten stuck. So I think the promise has always been, then I think the promise, if anything, has been enhanced under the current leadership we have of our Prime Minister. I mean, you've got to give the guy credit for the sort of dramatic reforms that come in place, and which I think over the medium to long run will enhance significantly the rate of growth of the economy.
All right, moving on. Donald Trump's presidency will be the big focus of 2017. That's the word coming in from Uday Kotak, the vice chairman and managing director of Kotak Mahindra Bank. Here's a slice of that exclusive conversation that he had with Shereen earlier today.
Well, I think